The phone wasn't heavy, just final. It sat on the kitchen table, face down, like it had something to confess, but didn't want to look me in the eye. It buzzed once more, but I didn't flip it over. I already knew what it said. I'd read the message 6 times in the last 10 minutes. I want a divorce. All communication through my lawyer. No punctuation, just a flat line, like a medical monitor right after the beep fades out. We'd been married 11 years, together for 13. Her name's Megan. I met her at a college mixer in Dayton. She was wearing this ratty denim jacket with a pin that said, "I break for raccoons," and drinking Tecate straight from the can. I don't even like Tecate, but I grabbed one just to talk to her. That was how we started. Beer I didn't like, a joke about roadkill, her laugh way too loud for the tiny kitchen where the party was happening. How we ended, a 13-word text message sent at 6:12 a.m. on a Tuesday. I was still in my pajama bottoms when I read it. The kid was already at school. I drop Mason off every weekday at 7 sharp. He's 9, big into Minecraft and air fryers for some reason. He once cooked a hot dog in it at 6 a.m. and brought it to me on a paper towel. I pretended to eat it. Megan had left early or maybe hadn't come home. I don't know anymore. I checked the garage. Her car wasn't there, not a note, not a whisper. Just the message on my phone like it was from a customer support bot. I didn't text back, at first because I didn't believe it, then because she'd made it clear, no talking unless it's through her lawyer. I sat down on the edge of the couch and stared at the muted TV. Morning show hosts pantomiming joy while subtitles danced under their 2 white teeth. I didn't feel sad exactly, just hollow, like someone turned the sound off in my chest. The next vibration on the phone wasn't from her. It was a work email. Subject line, "Reminder, 9 a.m. sync with ops." Yeah, sure. Let me just sync up real quick with my crumbling personal life. I didn't reply to that either. We weren't a shouting couple. No plates thrown, no doors slammed. Just quieter and quieter silences until they had shape and weight. I can't even point to a single fight that broke us. Just erosion. Like water slowly eating away at a canyon. And one day you look down and realize you're on the other side of a damn cliff. She stopped sitting on my side of the couch. I started falling asleep with my phone in my hand. We both noticed, but neither of us said anything. There was one thing, a few weeks back. She came home late from a team happy hour, except she smelled like cigarettes and sandalwood, and no one on her team smokes. I didn't say anything that night. But the next morning, while she was making coffee, I asked, "Did you have fun?" She didn't look up, just nodded and said, "Yep." That was it. That was all I got. Not, "Yeah, we ended up at this rooftop bar," or "God, Karen wouldn't shut up about her dog." Just, "Yep." You feel stupid pressing for more when the room already feels like a courtroom. The first real call I made that day wasn't to a lawyer. It was to my brother Matt. He picked up on the third ring. "Yo, everything good?" I must have paused too long because he went quiet. Then, "Dude?" I told him, word for word. "Wait, she texted that to you? Like, not even in person?" "Yeah," I said, "just now." "Damn," he said, voice going soft. "That's cold." We sat there, breathing at each other for a few seconds. "You okay?" he finally asked. I wasn't, but I said, "I think so." He offered to come over. I said no. I wasn't ready for anyone to see me in it yet. It felt like grief, but worse, because the person wasn't dead. They just didn't want you anymore. I eventually opened the laptop. Searched what to do when your spouse asks for divorce via text. It wasn't helpful. Some forums told me to get a lawyer. Others said to write a heartfelt letter. One guy said to change the locks immediately and take all the money out of our joint account. I just closed the browser. My hands smelled like coffee and old cheese. I hadn't even noticed I was still holding Mason's lunchbox. Around 10:30, the garage door opened. My heart jumped like a damn fire alarm. I thought for half a second maybe she came back to talk. Maybe she regretted the message. Maybe dash dash. But it wasn't her. It was our cleaning lady, Rosa. Tuesday mornings, regular as clockwork. She smiled at me, then paused. Senor Adam, everything okay? I must have looked like hell. Yeah, I said, forcing a nod. Just a rough morning. She didn't push, just went about wiping the counters and humming something in Spanish. I envied how she could make the house feel normal for a few minutes. When I finally opened my email again, there it was, from andreab@lockhartandplimpton.com. Subject, representation of Megan Calloway. It was real. I clicked it open and skimmed through formalities. Please direct all communications regarding the dissolution of marriage, custody, and asset division through our office. We request that no direct contact be initiated with our client. We are open to scheduling a preliminary mediation in the coming weeks. So that was that. She didn't just want a divorce, she wanted distance, like I was a threat, like she needed a damn firewall between us. That night, when I picked Mason up from school, he climbed into the back seat and said, "Can we get fries?" I said, "Sure." His voice small behind me. "Is Mum mad at you?" I almost pulled the car over. Instead, I kept driving. "Why do you ask?" "She said we're going to do sleepovers at her new place sometimes." I blinked. "She said that?" He nodded. "This morning, she dropped me off. I hadn't even noticed." "She said it's going to have a pool," he added, like that made it better. I didn't say anything for a while. Then, "Yeah, buddy. We'll figure it out." Later, when he was asleep, I sat on the floor in our room. Not my room, not her room. Our room. And I tried to remember the last time we laughed together. I couldn't. It was 4:43 a.m. when I finally gave up trying to sleep. The ceiling fan clicked with every rotation, soft, insistent, like it was counting down something I couldn't name. I hadn't turned the lights on. I just sat in the corner of our bedroom, knees up, back against the closet door, phone dim in my hand. Her side of the bed was still made. Hadn't even dipped once. I didn't check her social. I told myself it was out of respect, but really it was self-preservation. I already felt like a ghost in my own house. I didn't need to see her smiling in front of some rooftop skyline or posting new beginnings with a glass of white wine. Instead, I opened my calendar, 2 dentist appointments for Mason, my own oil change overdue, and one all-day event that Megan had made weeks ago. Anniversary weekend, no plans yet. That one hurt. It sat there like a landmine waiting to go off. By 7:30, I'd showered, dressed, and packed Mason's lunch. I tossed a banana in his bag even though I knew he wouldn't touch it. He came down still rubbing his eyes. "Can you sign this?" he mumbled, holding out a crumpled permission slip for a field trip. I signed. He looked up at me. "Are you going to tell me what's going on?" I froze mid-fold. He was 9, but not dumb. "Mason," I started. "Me and Mom, we're trying to figure out some stuff." His lips pressed together. "You mean like a fight?" "Sort of." He nodded once like he was filing it under adult things for later. "Okay." He didn't push, and that somehow broke me more than if he had. After drop-off, I called a lawyer, not from Google, not from some billboard ad. I called Derek, an old college friend who'd gone full family law after his own divorce 5 years ago. I hadn't spoken to him in a while. "Adam," he said, half laughing. "Dude, it's been what, since Zach's wedding?" "Yeah," I said. "Listen, I'm in kind of a situation." He sobered up quick. "Talk to me." I told him everything. Megan's text, the formal email, the complete radio silence from her end. By the end, he exhaled. "Man, that's rough. You want to come in this week?" "Yeah, soon as you can. I've got a slot Thursday morning, 10 a.m. Done." Before he hung up, he said something that stuck. "Try not to make any sudden moves until then. Keep things stable, especially for your kid." The next few days blurred. Megan didn't come home. She didn't text. She didn't ask about Mason's math test or if he still had that cough from last week. I found myself staring at her name in my phone, my thumb hovering over it like I was defusing a bomb. But I didn't type anything. I respected the firewall, even if it was eating me alive. Thursday came. I sat in Derek's office wearing the only clean shirt I had left. He walked in carrying 2 coffees like we were about to shoot the shit about March Madness. "You look like hell," he said, sliding a cup across. "I feel like hell." He pulled a legal pad from his drawer. "Let's start simple. Assets, kid. Timeline. You still living in the house?" "Yeah, she hasn't been home in days." "She abandoned the property?" "Maybe. I don't know." He started jotting notes. "Custody's gonna be the big one. Mason's what? 9. Primary caregiver's still a thing. You've been the one doing school runs, right?" "Every day." "That helps. And she moved out without notice." I hesitated. "She didn't say anything to me, just sent the text." He paused. "That might work in your favor. Courts don't love one parent going dark." The more we talked, the more I realized how much I'd been sleepwalking through the last few years. She made more money. She managed most of our bills. She was the one who picked the insurance, the summer camps, the kitchen tiles. I was support staff. But I did the dinners. I remembered the teachers' names. I rubbed Mason's back when he had growing pains and sat outside his door when he had night terrors. I existed in the margins, quietly, and maybe Megan got tired of that, or maybe I did. By the time I got home, the kitchen smelled off, like something had been left out. I opened the fridge. Nothing was rotting, just old. Like the house had stopped being lived in. I ordered takeout. Mason picked the toppings. While we ate, he said, "Can we still go to the lake house?" I looked up. "Which one?" "The one Grandma took us to last year." "Over the summer." "Why?" "I don't know, it was nice there. Mum wasn't on her phone so much. That punched me right in the ribs." Saturday morning, I got an email from Megan's lawyer, a full attachment, drafted custody agreement. It had visitation schedules, asset splits, even a clause about who got the dog. We don't have a dog. There was no note, no softening paragraph, just the business of dismantling our life. She wanted Mason 5 days every other week, alternating holidays, no child support claim, no alimony either. Just clean lines, like she was carving around me instead of through me. I read it twice, then shut the laptop, and I cried, in the hallway, like a kid, no one saw. That night, I finally saw her. I'd just finished brushing my teeth when I heard the front door open. I came down slow. She was there, in the entryway, holding a box, dressed casual, jeans, sweatshirt, hair tied up. She looked tired. We just stared at each other. I didn't say anything, neither did she. She set the box down, Mason's extra clothes maybe, then turned to leave. I caught her just before she opened the door. "Megan," I said. She paused. "I'm not going to make this ugly," I said. "I just need to know, why like this? Why not a conversation?" Her voice was dry. "Because every conversation turned into us pretending it wasn't broken. That's not fair. Neither is wasting another year." She opened the door. Before she stepped out, she added, "It's not about hating you, Adam. I just can't keep being this version of myself, not anymore." And then she was gone. That night, I finally started drafting my response to her lawyer. It wasn't angry, it wasn't vengeful, but I added one line at the top. "Before we proceed, I'd like to formally request one in-person conversation, neutral ground, no lawyers present, for closure and for the sake of our child." I hit send, then sat there, staring at the screen, knowing I might never get that meeting, but hoping, just hoping. The cafe cup was too hot when they handed it to me. I didn't put the sleeve on. I let the heat bite into my palm, kept it there like a dare. I'd gotten there early, choose a seat by the window. Not for the view, but so I wouldn't be surprised when she walked in. This was the first time I'd see Megan face to face since the text. She showed up 12 minutes late. Not fashionably late, not dramatically late, just late enough to remind me she still had the upper hand. She spotted me right away, but didn't rush. No smile, no hesitation, just walked up and slid into the chair across from me like we were 2 co-workers debriefing a project. Hi, I said. Hey. Silence. I looked at her, really looked. No makeup, eyes tired. Her mouth pressed in that tight line she got when she was trying not to show emotion. I cleared my throat. Thanks for agreeing to this. She didn't nod, just said, Did your lawyer tell you not to? Yeah. A pause. Mine too. We both gave half shrugs at the same time, some weird echo of the way we used to move in sync. I'm not here to change your mind, I said. I figured. I let the words settle, careful. I needed to look you in the eye before this all becomes paperwork. Her jaw flexed. I sipped my coffee. She didn't touch hers. I don't want to fight, I said, about Mason, about anything. She looked up. I don't either. But I also don't want to pretend this didn't happen, that you didn't just text it like a memo. Her eyes finally met mine. Would you rather I waited until dinner? Said it while Mason was watching TV, or while you were folding laundry and pretending everything was fine? That's not fair. No, she said. It's not. None of this is. We sat with it. I wanted to ask if there was someone else. I wanted to ask if she'd been planning this for months. I wanted to ask what version of me she'd fallen out of love with, and if he ever really existed. Instead, I said, he asked me about the lake house. She blinked. Said you smiled more there. Her face cracked then, just a flicker, but it was there. The muscles around her mouth trembled before she pulled them back. I don't know how to be happy in that house anymore, she said. I walk through the rooms and feel like I'm doing a bad impression of myself. I swallowed. I never knew, I said. I know. She reached for her coffee but didn't drink, just held it. I didn't cheat, she said suddenly, voice low. I know you probably think that. I didn't respond. I didn't. I just started wishing I was someone else, and then I started resenting the life that kept reminding me who I was. I wasn't trying to trap you. I know. Silence again. Then she said, Mason loves you. More than he can say. I nodded, throat tight. You're good with him. He needs that. So do you, I said, before I could stop it. She blinked hard. Yeah, maybe, but I can't get it from someone who's drowning too. That line stayed with me all day. Someone who's drowning too. I'd been so focused on keeping everything afloat that I didn't notice we'd both been holding our breath for years. The next few weeks moved like a slow march. Mediation dates were set. We signed a temporary custody agreement, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. The first time I dropped Mason at her new place, he clung to me for a second longer than usual. Not crying, just anchoring. She stood in the doorway, arms crossed. We didn't talk, but before the door closed, she mouthed, "Thank you." Co-parenting was awkward at first. Handoffs at school, scheduling conflicts, miscommunications about bedtime routines. But we found a rhythm. Mason adjusted faster than I expected. Kids do that. I think he sensed we weren't at war. That made all the difference. One Sunday, while he was at her place, I started going through the garage. I found a box labelled wedding stuff. Hadn't been touched in years. Inside, dried flowers, her vows written in blue pen, and a picture of us on the courthouse steps, beaming like we were bulletproof. I sat with that for a long time. I didn't cry this time. I just remembered. And then I let it go. By the time the final hearing came, it was almost mechanical. We showed up, sat apart, signed papers. The judge asked questions. Megan spoke softly but clearly. I answered without looking at her. It was civil, clinical, done in less than 30 minutes. Outside the courthouse, she waited for me. Hey, she said. Hey. I'm going to take Mason to that science museum next weekend. Thought he'd like the telescope exhibit. He'll love that, I said. A pause. Then she looked at me, not like a stranger, not like a partner, but like someone who once knew me better than anyone else on earth. I hope you find someone who sees you, Adam, she said. You too. We stood there a beat longer, and then we both walked to our separate cars. That night, I texted Mason goodnight like always. He replied, "Night, Dad. You're the best hot dog cooker ever." I smiled. I didn't text Megan. She didn't text me. But for the first time in a long time, it didn't feel like silence. It felt like peace.